Now, this discussion comparison really worries me, not for the device that you think, because I'm actually looking at the S21 Plus worried for the nerfed to price ratio. Low-key feels like more of it leaning towards being too nerfed versus the S20 Plus from last year, and that it feels weird and in this weird limbo where actually, although the price has actually come down and it's lower than before, is it low enough to justify the shortcomings, and also what competition device sits against it? Now, in comes in the iPhone 12 Pro Max to help with this battle. So yeah, S21 Plus versus iPhone 12 Pro Max. Is it too nerfed to be worth it? Let's go. Hi, Ben from Lover of Tech. If you enjoy videos like this and you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Lover Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. Now, as of this recording, the S21 Plus has been announced. It is on pre-order, but yet to be released to the public for proper hands-on. And in regards to the iPhone 12 Pro Max, man, as you know, I've been using this since day one of release, but for sure, once I get hands-on, hopefully with the S21 Plus, there will be more content to follow up and comparisons for sure hands-on. But stick around, because I still want to give my thoughts from the initial outside looking in on both these devices and see which one I actually lean towards more and which one I might recommend depending on your purchasing and what situation you're in. Now, design wise, both the S21 Plus and the iPhone 12 Pro Max are taking slightly similar design foundations in regards to the materials, but definitely different approaches when it comes to the final appearance. Let's start with the S21 Plus. The S21 Plus itself is using an aluminium frame with the use of high quality matte frosted glass finish, which you know I'm a big fan of, which definitely looks like you are getting the latest Corning Gorilla Glass Victus at the front and back. Now, what's really interesting is also the colors that it comes in. I really like the different colors and the amount of colors it comes in, and also the design style at the back with how distinctive the camera module looks at the back of the phone, that's molded and melted into the frame of the S21 Plus. Now, the S21 Plus comes in Phantom Black, Phantom Silver, Phantom Violet, Phantom Gold, and Phantom Red. And I keep saying, man, damn, it's a lot of Phantom. It is a big boy handset sitting in at 6.7 inches for the footprint, so I'm definitely eager to see how it handles. Now, iPhone 12 Pro Max, and it definitely takes a different approach by using a stainless steel frame with a much more boxy flat edge design with a frosted matte finish at the back. And yes, I've gone on record to say this is one of my favorite matte finishes on any phone I've personally used, so I'm definitely eager to see with the S21 Plus if that's going to change it, man. And also, at the front, Apple do have a toughened glass, which they are calling Ceramic Shield. Now, the iPhone 12 Pro Max does come in 4 different colors: Pacific Blue, Graphite, Silver, and Gold. And now look, I've handled this iPhone 12 Pro Max for a while, and I can say it does feel like a brick in the hand. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the S21 Ultra fares next to it. Overall, it will be interesting to definitely see both of them in action live, but they do seem solid, the materials, and also look, potentially based on my previous experience that I've had before with the S20 Plus, Samsung, again, like I said, have a great track record when it comes to handling big size phones. Now, when it comes to the display, both have their pros and cons. Let's firstly look at the S21 Plus, because the decisions on there are kind of suspect. And what we're getting is a 6.7 inch display, 1080p, full high definition plus dynamic AMOLED resolution display with 120 Hz refresh rate. And for the first time ever since, imagine, the Galaxy S5, there is no quad high definition plus option, QHD plus, even at 60 Hz like what you were getting last year with the S20 Plus. And on top of that, you do get a max peak brightness of 1300 nits built into that Infinity O center top hole punch display design. And what's really great about the refresh rate is that it is variable, it's adaptive. It adapts between 48 Hz all the way up to 120 Hz depending on what you're doing, which is definitely going to make this a very efficient display on your battery. Now, let's look at the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and look, as good as this display is, I can't help but feel like even next to the S21 Plus, it's starting to look a lot more dated than it did before. And although you do have that functional but space taking notch at the back, you do get a 6.7 inch display on a completely flat OLED display like what you get on the S21 Plus, which is definitely a big major plus for both and a massive positive for both because they're using flat displays. And technically, you do actually for once have a high resolution display on the iPhone 12 Pro Max with a 2778 by 1284 resolution, but the peak brightness only does go up to 1200 nits, which is still plenty bright. And the main downside to this 12 Pro Max is the fact that it's still a 60 Hz panel. Now look, overall the display on the S21 Plus is definitely looking better, especially with the overall design, the flat display and the 120 Hz option. But look man, I cannot help but feel like not having a quad high definition plus option on a display size above 6.5 inches at the price point it comes out, man, is low-key gonna feel like a letdown on this S21 Plus. Now, specs, performance, and battery, and when you look overall on paper, man, things are looking strong for the S21 Plus, packing either the latest Snapdragon 888 or the Exynos 2100 that is built on a 5nm process with 5G, 8GB of RAM only, with no micro SD card support for the first time in a long while, with 128 and 256GB of storage, with a massive increase of a 4800 mAh battery that does support 25-watt wired charging, 15-watt wireless charging, and wireless power share. Now, let's compare that to this. The iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is using Apple's class-leading A14 Bionic chip that is built on the first 5nm process with 5G, 6GB of RAM, 128, 256, as well as 512GB of storage, which is obviously non-expandable, and 3887 mAh battery that supports 20-watt wired charging, 15-watt wireless charging due to MagSafe. You have to use MagSafe to be able to get that, and also no wireless power share that you get on the 12 Pro Max. But even with all these numbers looking more favored to the S21 Plus, Apple are the kings. And let me say that again, Apple are the kings when it comes to the mobile system on a chip with their processors built in. And really and truly, if anything, Samsung are the ones that have got themselves to prove, especially when it comes to the Exynos model, because we all know the previous Exynos 990 did not have a good track record when it came to overall efficiency. So I really hope with this new 5nm process, they really fix it with the Exynos 2100. And the same notion does carry over to the battery life performance as well, because man, when it comes to it, boy, does the Exynos model really need it. And this is where, for me, I have way more faith in the iPhone 12 Pro Max with my experience with it. Now look, just beware, Apple led the way and now Samsung have copied with now the S21 Plus and the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which do not come with any earphones and especially no charging brick in a box. So either you're gonna have to use your old cables and chargers that charge a lot slower, or best be ready to spend extra to get the charger that charges these phones to their maximum speeds. Now this section, when it comes to the camera, look, I'm low-key kind of excited for. Now both are packing some serious hardware, especially when it comes to the S21 Plus over there, because it's ever so slightly newer in regards to the hardware and the numbers. But you know what, both in regards are packing some heat, so it's going to be very interesting to see. Now let's start with the S21 Plus, which hits well on the camera hardware side with a triple lens sensor combo. S21 Plus is working with a large 12 megapixel main sensor, f1.8 aperture, dual pixel autofocus, and optical image stabilization OIS, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide with an f2.2 aperture with 120-degree field of view, and then a colossal 64 megapixel sensor which is used for telezoom at f2.0 and enables 8K 24 frames per second video recording. And also then the selfie is a 10 megapixel shooter with an f2.2 aperture. And look, what overall looks promising on the S21 Plus is the fact that you do have improvements to the 30x space zoom with features such as zoom lock, improvements to low light photography, and also improvements to video stabilization, and also things like improvements to single take and director's view. There is so much going on the S21 Plus camera. Definitely eager to test that. Let's move over to iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is rocking a triple lens sensor combo setup with a 12 megapixel large main sensor, f1.6 aperture, dual pixel autofocus, and sensor shift in-body image stabilization actually on the sensor and not the optical lenses itself, which is really, really good in that sense. And also a 12 megapixel ultra wide with an f2.4 aperture, 120-degree field of view, and a 12 megapixel optical zoom with a 2.5x zoom at f2.2 with optical image stabilization and face detection autofocus. You move over to the selfie, it's a 12 megapixel shooter with an f2.2 aperture. Look, Apple have been class leading when it comes to mobile video, and now with the ability to shoot 10-bit video with Dolby Vision HDR, and also the ability to shoot 4K 60 frames a second across all the sensors, which has been doing way before the competition, improved low light photography, and also with things like Apple Pro RAW for photos. Look, if I do get a chance to test both these handsets in a camera comparison, it's going to be epic, and I cannot wait for that. Now, quick look at the biometric unlock, with both of them oddly enough being in a very strange place to me. Now look, for my personal preference, I do prefer an in-display front-facing fingerprint scanner any time of the day, but let's be honest, previously, Samsung's implementation has definitely not been the greatest, it's definitely not been the fastest, and most importantly, it's not been the most confidence inspiring. But now, with the fact that they've increased the size of the scanner by 77%, here's me hoping that they fix all these issues that I've mentioned. Now, Face ID, and you pretty much know this has been unchanged since the iPhone XS, and honestly, as good as Face ID works, if you're watching this now in the current climate that we're in, you know that using Face ID is a struggle. Now, when it comes to the price in the UK, the S21 Plus does start at £949 versus the iPhone 12 Pro Max at £1,099. So yes, the S21 is the lower price, even if you move over to the 256GB configuration. But I really am worried about the S21 Plus, that out of the three new S21 series devices, it's looking like the poor value out of the three. I don't know, I'm not too sure. Maybe it's going to be the sum of its parts versus the iPhone 12 Pro Max and just by itself, but we're really going to have to see how it is once we test it. That's it for me, Ben from Lover of Tech. If you enjoy videos like this, you know exactly what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Lover Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. I hope you're all safe during this time. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.